News every 15 minutes, weather every 10, and sports twice an hour.
Newstalk, KGVO, AM 1290 and now 101.5 FM.
You're listening to Montana Morning with Peter Christian.
Officer-involved shooting victim in Livingston identified. Good morning, everyone. It's Montana Morning. It is Tuesday, January 5th, 2016. Thank you so much for joining us. Right now, it's cloudy, 18 degrees in Missoula, exactly twice as warm as it was yesterday at exactly this time, 24 hours ago. Roads in the area mostly bare and dry. Air quality, though, unhealthy for sensitive groups at this time. Our newscast this morning sponsored by Bullseye Wear, where they offer some of the lowest prices in town at contact lenses. See Lynette at 2910 South Reserve. Police officers in Livingston shot and killed a man who reportedly ran at an officer with a knife. Park County Coroner Al Jenkins told the Livingston Enterprise yesterday the victim was 37-year-old Sean O'Brien. He said O'Brien had been a Livingston resident for the past 8 or 9 months. Chief Dale Johnson said officers responded to Shopko at about 7:40 Saturday night after a caller reported that O'Brien was making threats. If someone was going to die, police weren't called. Officers located the man hiding outside the business. The man, of course, that was O'Brien, did not comply with officers' commands, and a stun gun was ineffective in subduing him. Johnson says an officer was backing away from O'Brien while trying to de-escalate the situation when O'Brien ran at the officer with a knife, and that's when he was shot and killed. A two-vehicle accident between Missoula and Lolo just before 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon slowed rush hour traffic to a crawl for over an hour on the always busy Highway 93 South. I spoke with Highway Patrol Trooper Phil Smart. He had these details.
Southbound vehicle turned left in front of a northbound vehicle. It failed to yield the right of way and was struck. It was just before 5 o'clock, right in front of the destination of the left-turning vehicle, which was the trailer court at 6000 Highway 93.
Smart details the injuries sustained in that crash.
The injuries to the people in the left-turning vehicle who weren't wearing their seatbelts. One was ejected, and we learned that the other crawled out to the ejected passenger. The single driver of the northbound vehicle was wearing his seatbelt, and he is okay. He didn't need medical attention at all.
The investigation into the accident is ongoing. It's not known if either speed or alcohol may have played a part in that crash. Another crash concerned folks or travelers yesterday. A Missoula hazmat team responded to a multi-vehicle crash blocking traffic on US 93 North, about 12 miles north of I-90. That occurred yesterday. Missoula Rural Fire Deputy Chief Chris Newman explains.
The initial call came in for the Arlene Fire Department. We did hear over our radios that there were 2 semis involved along with the passenger vehicle, and not our normal response area, but there was a potential for a hazmat release.
Newman said 2 hazmat investigators checked the scene and found a lot of latex paint splashed all over the highway.
One of the semis was carrying a couple pallets of latex paint, and so they, at that point realized that there was no immediate threat except for a big mess, but nothing that was a threat to any people or the environment. To be honest with you, I'm not sure how much would be on a pallet. I would think at least a few hundred gallons.
Newman said victims of the crash were taken to St. Patrick Hospital, but he was unaware of their condition. A saddle tank from one of the semis spilled about 50 gallons of diesel on the highway, but it stayed on the roadway. It was mopped up with an absorbent. Traffic was blocked for more than 3 hours in both directions during that cleanup. A Whitefish man who shot at 2 motorcyclists during a road rage incident near Columbia Falls 2 years ago and who later skipped his own sentencing hearing has been sentenced to 15 years in prison. The Flathead Beacon reports Christopher Schoen was sentenced December 28th on charges of bail jumping and assault with a weapon. It wasn't his first run-in with the law. He was 19 when he stood trial for the 1998 shooting death of Carl Storkson, a childhood friend. Schoen was acquitted. 5 years later, he spent a year in prison following a drive-by shooting in Alaska. In 2006, he was given a 5-year suspended sentence for conspiracy to commit assault with a weapon following a shooting at the Eureka police station. A Sunday morning fire at an apartment complex on SOS Road near Seeley Lake has led to an arson investigation. Seeley Lake Fire Chief Bob Vandenheuvel explains what he saw when he and 9 volunteers arrived on the scene.
So we had a 3-unit apartment complex. We had a report from a neighbor. They had smoke coming out of the place, and they weren't sure if it was just snow melting and whatever, but so they called it in. 911 dispatched us, and on my arrival, there was smoke coming out of both ends of the unit, out of the eaves, and fire coming out the window.
No one was inside the structure. Crews were able to contain the fire to the southeast or southernmost unit of the complex. Upon investigation, though, Vanden Heuvel said there were signs the fire was not an accident.
The fire is suspicious in origin, and it's under investigation, so I've handed it over to the state fire marshal. I'll still do my investigation of just fire spread and that kind of stuff, but the investigative side of it is under the command at this point of the state fire marshal and Bob Parcells, who's representing the Missoula County Sheriff's Department.
According to Parcell, accelerants were used to start the fire, and there are currently, quote, persons of interest, end quote, under investigation. Despite the many advisories and bulletins issued about missing or endangered persons last year, there were only 2 actual Amber Alerts, and both involved missing infants. State coordinator of the Amber Alert program, Jennifer Viets, said Amber Alerts are rare and have special requirements.
Amber Alerts are the highest level of alert that we can use, and it is used in the case of a suspected child abduction where the child is believed to be in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death.
Viets said the first was in September and originated up in Canada.
The first one was for a 2-year-old that was abducted in Canada, and there was tips involved that led investigators up there to believe the suspect might be coming into Montana. This was for Haley Dunbar Blanchette, and unfortunately, she was located deceased in Canada.
The second occurred in Billings when a mother abducted her 2 daughters during a supervised visit, and the children, after several days of searching, were eventually found safe.
The mother was taken into custody by herself first, and then the next morning, the father and the 2 children were located, and the children were safe. So it was a happy ending that the kids were okay.
An app is available from the Center for Missing and Exploited Children to alert your cell phone in case of an Amber Alert in Montana. Wildlife officials have divvied up how many grizzly bears can be killed by hunters in the Yellowstone region of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. The move comes as the states seek control of a species shielded from hunting for the past 40 years. A draft agreement detailing the state's plans was obtained by the Associated Press. Inside the zone around Yellowstone Park, hunters in Wyoming would get a 58% share of the harvest, Montana 34%, and Idaho 8%. Our news talk time now is 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Mostly cloudy to cloudy skies today with our high temperatures in the mid to low 20s. There is a slight chance of snow and freezing rain early today. We'll see a chance of snowfall on Wednesday with our highs in the mid 20s. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for Missoula's KECI 13.